Okay, so welcome to another HDR tutorial. This is the one I promised a few weeks ago on how to create an HDR type image using just one photo. Now, why would you want to use just one photo? Well, in this case, I was out shooting and I was shooting some HDR images, but on the way home, I happened across this little guy here and decided to get some shots from my car just out the window. And as you can see by this image here, he is a quick little guy, so I did not have the opportunity to do an HDR image. So I'm going to show you how you can create one using just one photo. And again, we're using Lightroom 2 and Photomatix Pro. So first of all, you're in here and you're in the develop module. Now, in order to do this, you're still going to need a couple other images with different exposures. So what you can do is you come down here. I've already done this, but if you right click, there's an option for create virtual copy. Now click this and it will create another copy for you. Click it again, just do the same thing. Right click, create virtual copy. Okay, that will give you 3 copies, which is the minimum that you want to do with HDR. So the center one, I left it as is. I did not do any changes to this image whatsoever. The one down here on the left, however, I went over here to the exposure and dropped it to -1. So just to stop below 0 to darken up the image, get some more details in the snow. And quite opposite with this other one, I went a +1 under exposure to bring out some of the details in the trees here, in the branches, the limbs, and in the deer's face and fur. Okay, so if you've done that, then you have 3 separate images here. So once again, we're going to shoot them over into Photomatix. Just select all 3 images here, right click, export as 8-bit Adobe RGB. And again, you'll be able to see the status of your images right here. It's doing each image and it will open up within Photomatix Pro. Now, you're not going to get a true HDR image here. Let's generate. These are the 3 images. And if you do this, this dialog box did not pop up the last time, and this is because we're using one image. It's wanting to make sure what our exposure values are, and you can set them right here, or if you click here and then click again, then you can change them right within there. But these are correct because I just went +1 and -1, so you can hit OK. Now align sources and all of this is the same as before. Generate. So again, you're not going to get a true HDR image because you're just using one photo. Yes, we went in and changed the exposure, but you're still not going to get the same result as if you had 3 separate exposures in your camera to create this HDR image. So here we are creating the HDR image, and we'll be right back when this is finished. Okay, just about done here, and HDR image should be popping up now. Okay, now this is one ugly picture. Darks are way too dark, the whites are completely blown out, but again, look over here and you will see that we still have all the detail. Okay, so tone mapping. Ta-da! Right off the bat it looks a whole lot better. Now these are I did this before, I cheated. So these are the same settings, but I will go through them again in case you'd forgotten from the last video. Okay, the strength is just that. It's the strength of the effect. So we'll leave that at 100. The color saturation is exactly that. It's how much saturation you want in the colors. Luminosity, that's the overall kind of brightness of the image. If I drop that down a couple, you can see that it gets a little darker, and we'll push that back up to, let's go to 3. 4 might have been too bright. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Light smoothing again. I want this very high because I don't want a fake looking image. I want it as real looking as possible. So the micro contrast, I'll leave that at +1. Tone settings, I've changed the white point and the black point and the gamma. I increase the white point to get a little more light areas, and I increase the black. Maybe we can increase that a little bit more to get some more darker areas in the picture, and then I drop the gamma a little bit. Alright, so then next we have the color settings. I left the temperature alone, but I did increase the saturation of the highlights to +2. Now you'll notice if I go -2, it takes some of that color away in the highlights. We'll leave that at +2. And moving on, smoothing settings, I went with a 2 on micro smoothing. That is just to give it a little bit more edgy, or not so edgy, excuse me, look, you can tell the difference here. Then if I go to 1, it does smooth it out some. Actually, you know what, I kind of like 1 better, so we'll leave it at that. Now here's another tip I didn't mention in the last video. Right down here we have your presets. Now you can go with a default preset, and if you click this, it's going to undo everything up here and put it back to the default. Or you can come down here and you can save these settings, okay, and then you would save them. Of course you'd pick a name, but then if you had another image you wanted to apply these same settings to, you could come down here and load settings. Alright, and then it would just pop them in here. It'd save you a whole lot of time if you have, you went on the same shoot during the same day and kind of have the same type of image. You might want to just include these with all of them. So instead of going back and redoing all these, you can just hit load your preset. Then once again, all we have to do is just hit process, and it's going to process the image, and you save it with whatever name you want, and again it's going to have tone mapped at the end of it. And then I'll show you the before and after pictures when we get back. Okay, so here we go. Here's the final tone mapped image, and this is the after, and this is the before. So you can see quite a bit more saturation in the colors, a lot more detail in the trees here, in the branches, in the deer's face and fur, and again over here, but we still kept those details in the snow and increased them as well. So there you have it. That's the before, and again the after, and that, my friends, is how you create an HDR image using just one photo. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to ask them. Shoot me an email. I'd love to see some of your work. So until the next video, I'll see you later.